Hi everyone, welcome back to Li'l K Artistry. I am Kristen, the artist also known as Li'l K, and I welcome you back to my little corner of the art world. I'm in my studio. I am reworking my studio, so I apologize for any messes that you might see. I have decided that I am going to be downsizing and reorganizing because I've got so many ideas for new pieces of art with new styles and just all these great ideas that I want to get down on canvas, and I just don't have enough room. So I'm paring down and really streamlining my studio. So if there's a mess, I apologize for it. I also got a new rack for my piggies, which I'm very happy. This little piggy pigments, I have more than enough room for all of my pigments, and it's just hangs on the back of the door. It's just a spice rack that I found that hangs on the door. Unfortunately, the little shelves that I had, the little wooden shelves that were perfect, are no longer available, and I only got 2. So I had more piggies than shelf room. So moving on from that, welcome or welcome back. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for joining me. I don't know how you found me, but I'm very glad that you did. This is my therapy. I started 2 years ago, over 2 years ago now, with mandala art and rock painting, and I very quickly, within a couple of months, outgrew that and found fluid art. And some of my favorite mentors, I have been able to learn from them, and I'm so delighted about that. I'm embarking on new ideas. I currently am kind of fixated on the dot or the button art, and I call it buttons, some people call it dots, whatever. Basically what it is, it's mandala, what I did on the mandala stones and the little medallions that I was making, only it's larger and on a larger scale. I have so many ideas, I can't even, so much creative energy is flowing this year, and I can't wait to share it with all of you. Prior to the first of the year, I was doing what I was calling I guess I would call it like a web design. It's cell art, but it's more like a web look. It's really kind of cool. And what it utilizes is the Abstract Cellism mix and a cloud mix, which I have not yet shared with you all, but it's very simple. And the cloud mix also uses the base for the Abstract Cellism. But these paints all today are what I'm doing, and I have a 12-inch gallery wrapped canvas. This is a deep edge canvas that I'm reusing. I went ahead and put a layer of gesso on it, and I'm going to go ahead and it's a cloud pour, but it's not a cloud pour because there's no Floetrol in it. It's all Abstract Cellism, and when you get done, when it's finished, it looks like a web. It's really cool. Today I'm using the black top layer. Typically I use a white top layer, but I'm using quite a few light colors in this one, and they're all greens and blues except one, and I added Persian rose in the middle, so hopefully it will look really pretty. But I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I want to encourage you all, if you have subscribed, thank you so much for coming back. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm looking to share my art and my experiences and my knowledge and wisdom and life and all the stories, and just sharing my heart and this is my therapy, and maybe it is for you also. But I found this in my little spare room. This is a very special place for me. It's a safe place. This is a safe place for you, and it's supposed to be fun, enjoyable. Maybe you'll learn something, ask questions. If I can't answer them, I will. And if I can't, then I'll tell you that I can't, and we'll move on, and hopefully I can find the answer later. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see what I'm doing with this. I am using my very special little funnel here, which has the plunger in it, which I love because I can keep all of the paint in the funnel until I get ready to put it on the canvas. I don't have to worry about putting my finger over it or anything. I love it because it's got a little plunger in it that plugs the hole. It's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so we can make something pretty, hopefully. And now the fun begins. I am using 6 colors, and then the cloud mix, and then my top layer, which is a cell maker, is the black. And as I fill up my little funnel here, I will let you know what the colors are that I'm using. I'm going to start with a small puddle in the middle, and that is going to be the Liquitex Basics, and this is bright aqua green. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a puddle down there. You'll notice, this is the Abstract Cellism mix, so the paints are fairly thick. I am going to be spinning this one today, which is why I have it on my spinner. The last couple that I did, which was so fun, I'm learning to tilt. But this one I think I'm going to spin because I really like the way the webbing looks when it's spun out. So I'm going to just see if we can, I might have to put a little bit more of that base layer down, just like that. I don't want to have too much on there. That bright aqua green is so pretty. At Liquitex Basics, they have some beautiful colors. They really do. Amsterdam is one of my favorites. I know some of you have asked me what my favorite paints are. I have so many, you guys. I use TriArt, I use Golden, I use their fluid acrylics and their tube acrylics. I use Liquitex Basics. I have some Lucas, which I'm experimenting with. I have this one. I'm just dying to use this one on one of my button pieces. It's a rose. I just love it. That one, I've got some fluorescent ones that I want to use too. I've got so much. You guys, there's so much art that I want to make, and I don't have enough time in the day. I don't know if you find that to be the case too, but I just don't have enough time. Okay, so here's my fun little funnel, and there's the little plunger. So I'm going to go ahead and hold the plunger down, and what I'm going to do, because I want the top layer to be on top and the paints to be underneath it, because I want the top layer to forms the cells, I'm going to put that in first. And like I said, I typically use the white for this webbing look, but I wanted to use the dark because a lot of these colors are lighter. Okay, I'm going to start with a darker color in the middle. This is the golden, and this is phthalo green. It's the blue shade of phthalo green. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that in the bottom. And then I am going to add a little bit of that Liquitex Basics Bright Aqua Green, which was the base color. I really do like that. And this is, you know what, I think I'm going to put a tiny bit of the cloud mixture on top of that. Not very much, just a little. And then this is Golden's teal, and that's the fluid also. So there's a little teal. Now, I wanted to add something that wasn't a blue or a green, so I'm going to put Persian Rose in here. This is also a fluid acrylic. On top of that, this is the manganese blue. And then I am going to put a little bit more of the cloud mix in there because it does look really neat when it makes the clouds. And then I'm going to top it off with the Prussian blue. You guys know how much I love Prussian blue. I really do. Now, there's not a ton of paint here. I did not fill my funnel. I'm going to say it's probably about half full because it's thinner at the bottom here. So it's about half full, okay? Or you could say it's half empty. It depends on how you look at it. I am going to set this as close as I can get to the center of the painting. I've still got the plunger in there, and I'm going to set it right in the center, and then when I push down on it, the plunger comes up, and then I can also pull it up with the trigger. So I'm going to do that really slowly, and I'm going to also spin it because I want this one to have, well, do I want to spin it? You know what, let's try this without spinning it. Let's see what this looks like without spinning it while I am releasing the paint. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so you'll see there's that black top layer. And I want the other paints to be under that black top layer because the black top layer is the top layer because it's a different viscosity and it's what makes the cells. Okay, now I've stopped the plunger and I am going to make a little oop-to-do in the center there. Okay, I've stopped it up. That's looking really cool. I still have a good amount of painting here, so I'm going to run this around the outside edge, and I think this is probably mostly where the Prussian blue is. I'm going to run this. I'm just going to lift the plunger a little bit, and I'm going to run this around the outside edge, and I am going to spin it now because I want this to go around the outside edge. Oh my goodness, it's almost perfect. And I can see that there is a good amount of the cloud mixture out there too, so this is going to look really neat. I don't know if that Persian Rose is even going to show up, you guys. It's looking mostly green and blue, I don't know, I put a good amount in there. So I hope it comes out. I'm just going to kind of tap the corners a little bit. Just to let that last little bit of paint. The corners are, on a square canvas, the corners are typically the hardest to cover, because they're the furthest away from the bulk of the paint. Okay, wipe that off, and I will wash that later. Okay, this is looking very cool. I'm very glad that I didn't spin it as I was releasing the paints. I think that was a good choice. I'm gonna pull this paint to the outside just to have something when I do start to spin it to stretch the composition. I want something for the paint to slide on. So I'm going to pull this out, and then I'll spin it a little, and then I'll probably have to pull out a little more so that the composition will get all the way to the sides. And then I want it to run down the sides, obviously. I did not paint the sides of my canvas this time. I probably should have, but we'll just see what happens. I may end up having to touch up the corners, or when it's all dry, sometimes what I do is I paint like a faux frame in black, or I could use a blue. Okay, so now I'm going to make sure that I pop the bubbles. There's not very many. That's another thing that I love about the Abstract Cellism mix. You don't get very many bubbles at all. The ones you do get are real easy to pop. And provided you haven't just mixed your paints. If you've just mixed your paints, I don't recommend using them right away, just because you don't want to have all those bubbles. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spin this a little bit to stretch the composition a little. I don't want to stretch it a ton yet. I'm still waiting to see if that Persian rose is going to come through. There's a little bit. There's a little bit. Okay, spin the other way real quick. For those of you who are lovers of green out there, that phthalo green is just beautiful in this piece. There is a little bit of the Prussian blue in the center. It's gorgeous. Gonna stretch this out a little more. So the reason for putting that black top layer in first is so that when I open the plunger in the funnel, the heavier paints sink down below the top layer, so that the top layer, as you saw, it just kind of lays on the top while the other paints go right down through and go underneath. And that's what you want, because that black top layer, or the white, or whatever color you're using, that's what makes the cells. And some people call it a cell activator. If you've heard me talk about this before, then I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I don't use that term because for me in the beginning, when I first started my fluid art journey, it was very confusing because I couldn't figure out what was being activated, and I thought there was some sort of a chemical reaction going on, and I had to do a bunch of research to find out what everyone was talking about with this cell activator thing, and then come to realize it's just a different viscosity of a medium to put your paint in so the paint acts differently. There's nothing being activated, basically. So it was very confusing to me, so I try not to use confusing verbiage so that if there's anyone out there who is new, then you won't feel at all like you're getting confused like I was, because it really, I think it held me back a little bit. It took me a lot longer, probably. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a little bit slow learner. That's possible. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move this to that side of the spinner because it looks like I haven't got quite enough stretched over there yet. I'm going to stretch a little bit on that side. I can see the Prussian blue. I don't see any of that Persian rose. How frustrating is that? I can't find it. Oh, there's a little. There is a little. Oh, pretty. Okay, it is coming out. Oh, that's very cool. That is very cool. Okay, I'm going to stretch this a little more, and then I might go to the corners and see what we can do with the corners. Oh, that Prussian blue is coming through in the middle. That's so funny because that's the last one that I put in, and usually the this is looking very nice. Usually the last one that you put in the cup ends up out here and not in the middle. But, oh, that's all right. I don't mind. I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. And as you recall, I've said it before, I think, one of the other components or properties, I guess you could call it, of the abstract cellism mix that I find very very awesome is the fact that, number one, you don't have to spin very much off. That's what you've heard me talk about that before. But also because the paint layer is generally quite thin, because you do flatten it out quite a bit and you spin some off, it doesn't take very long to dry. Typically, these paintings with the abstract cellism mix will take anywhere between 12 and 24 hours. It's not bad at all. Oh, you guys, this is so, so pretty. Yeah, I love this a lot. And I think just because I didn't put a ton of paint on it and it didn't all go down the sides are a little wonky. What I think I will do is, once it's fully dry, I will go back through on the sides and probably paint the sides, and I'll probably do like a phthalo green, just in keeping with the theme of the color in the painting. Or I could do an aqua, make it lighter. I could do white, I guess. I'm going to spin one more time just to see if we can get these big boulder cells a little bit bigger, because I love those boulder cells. And then what I often do with a lot of these guys that have the big boulder cells on them especially is I like to add the texture after they're fully dried. I just love the way that it looks with the clear texture. Okay, good. All right, so the sides are basically covered. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of teal. There's a couple of spots here and there that aren't fully covered close to the top, so I'm just gonna touch those up real quick just to make sure that the entire top of the canvas is covered. And then I think I will go back in later after it's dry and I'll do the sides with the faux frame, and I'll probably do, I think I probably will do this phthalo green. I think that would be beautiful on the sides of the canvas before I seal it. So there is a tiny bit of the Persian rose, not very much at all, just a hint right around the clouds. And the clouds, you'll notice, are not really, they're not really clouds. It's more like, and when I zoom you in, you'll see what I mean. There's a lot of, the only word I can use to describe it is webbing, and I just love the way that it looks. This one is definitely getting texture because of these big, beautiful boulder cells. I'm glad that I added that Persian rose because I can see it's lightening some of the cloud. That it's just looking really, really pretty. And the blue in the center, oh, that is lovely. Another thing that I've been considering is using a really fine-tipped paintbrush and going along the cell edges with like a gold or a silver. In this case, I might do silver. I think silver would look really nice just to kind of see. But I love this. I love the way this came out. I'm so glad I chose these colors. And I think that's the composition, what you guys are seeing right there. So I'm going to come in there and I'm going to zoom you in so that you can see what I'm seeing and you can see a close-up of it. Ignore the sides for right now because those can be touched up. That's another thing I want to let you know, guys. If you do a painting like this and you goof, or you make it, it's not quite, you leave a spot out here, or the edges aren't quite right, you can always go back and, provided you know the colors that you used. So make sure you keep a good record of the colors that you use, which is why I started videotaping these. Keep a good record of the color that you use, and then you can go through and touch it up with a paintbrush afterwards if you want to. So in the case of this one, I'm going to go through and just touch up the edges, and I will most likely use the phthalo green. I won't use this one, I'll use it right out of the jar, because this one has the pouring medium in it, which makes it a little bit thinner, and I want to make sure that the sides are nice and opaque. I don't want you to be able to see through them. So I'm going to come over there and zoom you in so you can see what this looks like. I'm so happy with the way this came out. I'm going to show you those big boulder cells. Aren't those pretty? And that blue in the middle, and there's some of the Prussian blue over there too. And then there's one spot right there with the Prussian blue. And I don't know if my camera is picking it up or not. I don't think it is, but once it's dry, I'll be able to show you and zoom it in. There's just the tiniest hint of that Persian rose, and it's just so lovely and light. Look at those cells in the corner. This is going to look so beautiful with texture on it. I'm debating whether or not I want to put texture on it and define the cells, or if I want to define the cells with a little gold or a little silver, or maybe even black. I don't know, you guys, I don't know. There's so many things. I have so many ideas. I love that center, that one blue, multicolored blue cell. You guys see that? Oh man, that's so cool. And then those green ones. Beautiful. I just love this color combination. A little Prussian blue with a little phthalo green, the blue shade, and the clouds, and then the manganese blue. You can see there's just hints of the manganese blue. This just so pretty. And this is a 12 by 12. I think it's a 12 by 12. I think it came out really, really awesome. I love it when I get those big boulder cells in the middle. Oh, let me just confirm this is a 10-inch. It might be a 12-inch. Okay, so this is a 12-inch gallery wrapped canvas. It's 12 inches. I like this size. I think I will most likely be doing, it's usually the 12, the 14, and the 16. I really like to do the blooms on the 16-inch, and then the cloud pours, the traditional cloud pours with Floetrol. I like to do those on the 14-inch, and then the cloud slash web, whatever you want to call this, abstract cellism, I like to do these on the 12-inch. So I think I'm going to focus on those three sizes moving forward, with the gallery wrapped anyway. Some of the smaller paintings I do with a spoon or with yarn or whatever, I do those on 8 and 10-inch pieces, but I really, really like this. I'm so happy with it. So glad that you joined me today. I hope that you had fun. I had fun. And I hope that you will subscribe if you haven't yet, and that you enjoy the art that you see here. A lot of what I do, I jump around, you guys. I have ADHD maybe, I don't know, but I get inspired and then I go for it. And I sometimes I'm weeks on the same style, and then sometimes I go day to day and I do something different each day. And it just, for me, it keeps the art really fresh, and it keeps me excited and interested, and hopefully it's my excitement and my interest in the art translates to you guys having fun and being interested and also learning and enjoying at the same time. I feel like if I do the same thing over and over and over and over again, which some people are like, you got to stick with one thing. I don't have to stick with one thing. And if you're a new artist out there and you're trying new things, you don't have to stick with one thing either. Do what, you know, when the spirit moves you, that's what people say. Do what feels right. Do your art your way. And if you get inspired by one thing today and something different tomorrow, go for it. It's your art. So you can do like you want. So when this dries, I will make sure that I show you the dried result. And then of course, once it's cured, I will add the texture and I'll do the edges and I'll show you the complete 100% done piece. And I may keep it, I may sell it, I may give it away. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your subscription. I appreciate your comments and sharing and all the love. Thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate you. And I know I've said it so many times. I'm going to keep saying it. Li'l K Artistry has the best subscribers on YouTube. I know it. Hands down, you guys are the best. Most supportive, most wonderful people. So thank you so much. This is Li'l K, and again, I'm going to remind you and I'm going to encourage you, go make the art. You'll be glad you did.